What if the hardest moments in your life, the heartbreak that shattered you, the dream that slipped through your fingers, the opportunity that crumbled when you needed it most, weren't accidents at all? What if they were traps that you set for yourself, not to punish you, but to find out if you're ready for the very life you've been asking for? It sounds strange, almost unfair. Why would your own soul make things harder right when you're closest to a breakthrough? Why would it place obstacles in your path when all you want is peace, love, and success? Because there's a truth most people never realize. Before you get what you want, life often tests whether you're truly ready to hold it. And these tests are invisible, not because they're hidden, but because they disguise themselves as chaos, loss, or failure. In the next few minutes, we're going to pull back the curtain on this invisible test. You'll see why your soul might create it, how to recognize when you're in it, and the exact mindset that will allow you to pass it. Before you ever took your first breath, before your name, your family, or the body you now live in, your soul had a plan. It's an idea explored in Michael Newton's Journey of Souls and echoed by many near-death experiences, hypnotic regressions, and spiritual traditions. Before incarnation, souls choose certain circumstances, relationships, and challenges, not as random events, but as carefully placed markers along their journey. Think of it like agreeing to a syllabus before taking a class. The course is life itself, and the assignments are the experiences that will help you grow in the exact ways you need. Some are pleasant, many are not, but all are intentional. This pre-life planning often happens with the help of soul groups, other beings who agree to play certain roles in your life. The friend who always supports you, the partner who breaks your heart, the coworker who challenges your patience, these may not be coincidences. In this view, they are collaborators in your soul's curriculum. What's important to understand is that these obstacles aren't detours. They are checkpoints. They exist to test, refine, and deepen your understanding of yourself before you step into the next level of your life's purpose. Imagine a video game where you can't progress to the next stage until you've mastered the current one. In the physical world, these mastery points show up as major challenges, often timed right before a big shift is about to happen. Your soul places them there so you can prove, not to the universe, but to yourself, that you're ready. For example, someone might choose to be born into a family that struggles with communication, knowing that learning to express themselves honestly will be a lifelong lesson. Another might choose a career path that forces them to face rejection repeatedly, building resilience they'll later need for leadership. From the human perspective, it can feel cruel. From the soul's perspective, it's precision engineering. The agreements made before birth aren't about comfort. They are about expansion. The intention isn't to keep you from your dreams, but to make sure you're strong enough, wise enough, and aligned enough to live them fully when they arrive. This is why certain patterns in your life feel so stubborn. They're not bad luck or just how life is. They're part of a larger design you agreed to before you got here. Understanding this doesn't mean you have to like every challenge you face, but it does shift the question from "Why is this happening to me?" to "What did my soul hope I would learn here?" And when you start looking at your struggles through that lens, you begin to see them not as random obstacles, but as signposts, confirmations that you are exactly where your soul intended you to be. The invisible test begins quietly. You usually don't know you're in it until you feel life tightening around you. On the surface, it just looks like everything is going wrong at once, but that's part of what makes it invisible. This test tends to appear when you're standing at the threshold of a major shift, whether that's in your relationships, career, personal healing, or spiritual growth. It's the last barrier between the old life and the new one. The most deceptive thing about it is that it rarely looks like preparation. Instead, it feels like loss, inconvenience, or even betrayal. That's because the test is designed to pull your focus onto your deepest unhealed areas. If you didn't see them, you might carry them into your next chapter and sabotage yourself without even realizing it. Think of the partner who seems to press every emotional button you have. This isn't just about them being difficult. It's a mirror reflecting back your triggers, your boundaries, and your old wounds so you can see them clearly. Or the dream opportunity that shows up but requires you to face your biggest fear, maybe public speaking, maybe financial risk, maybe trusting someone again after being hurt. Another form of the test is repetition, a life lesson that keeps returning each time with higher stakes. You might notice you've dated different people who all left you feeling the same kind of abandonment. Or every new job seems to recreate the same conflict with authority. These patterns are not the universe being lazy. They're precise repetitions, designed to give you another chance to respond differently. The reason it's called invisible isn't because it's hidden from you. It's because it masquerades as ordinary struggle. Without awareness, you just think you were having a bad month or a rough year. But when you look closer, there's often a pattern. The challenges are all aimed at the same emotional core. This is where many people miss the point. They think, if I can just get through this, everything will go back to normal. But the truth is, the test isn't meant to bring you back to normal. It's meant to move you past normal into a reality you've never experienced before. Passing the invisible test isn't about brute force or endurance. It's about clarity and choice. It's about recognizing when life is holding up a mirror and deciding to respond with the version of yourself you want to become, not the version you've always been. When you start to see your life through this lens, moments of struggle become more than random hardship. They become evidence that you're standing on the edge of transformation. And if the test feels intense, that's usually a sign you're closer to that edge than you realize. Here's the paradox that frustrates almost everyone on a spiritual path. If the soul wants growth, joy, and freedom for you, why would it deliberately design traps that cause pain? The answer is simple but uncomfortable. Resistance reveals weakness. When everything is going smoothly, it's easy to believe you're healed, patient, or fearless. But when pressure is applied, when someone betrays your trust, when money dries up, when your plans collapse, your hidden cracks show. And that's exactly what the soul wants to bring into the light. This is where shadow work comes in. Carl Jung described the shadow as the parts of ourselves we suppress or deny. The invisible test has a way of pulling those shadows onto the stage. If you secretly fear abandonment, the test might place you in a situation where someone leaves. If you wrestle with control, you'll find yourself in circumstances that feel completely out of your hands. From the brain's perspective, this looks like threat. Neurologically, your body interprets challenge as danger. It floods you with stress hormones, urges you to fight, flee, or freeze. But the soul has a different perspective. To the soul, these challenges aren't danger. They're alignment checks. They're proof of whether you can hold your vision and values steady, even when everything around you shakes. It's like lifting weights. No one builds strength without resistance. The soul sets up situations that force you to lift the very qualities you'll need in the next stage of your journey. Without the resistance, the muscles of patience, trust, courage, and resilience would remain undeveloped. So why doesn't the soul just give you what you want without the test? Because if you enter your new reality still carrying the same unhealed wounds, you'll destroy it. A person who hasn't resolved their scarcity fears will mismanage abundance. Someone who hasn't healed their insecurity will sabotage love. The test ensures that when the new chapter opens, you're not just ready to step into it, you're ready to stay there. It's important to see this not as punishment, but as preparation. The invisible test is your soul's way of saying, "Show me that you can live in the frequency of the reality you're asking for." And yes, it often feels brutal. But once you understand the purpose behind it, you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What strength is this building in me?" The shift is subtle, but it's everything. Because the moment you recognize resistance as training instead of punishment, you stop fighting the test and start passing it. Now that we've uncovered why the soul sets these traps, let's look at how they actually work. Think of the trap as a fork in the road. When it shows up, you're presented with two possible paths, and the one you choose determines the reality you continue to experience. The first path is the familiar one, reacting from fear. Fear convinces you to protect yourself at all costs, by shutting down, by clinging to the old, by repeating the same habits that kept you safe before. It feels natural because it's what the nervous system has always done. But choosing fear keeps you anchored in the same version of reality you've been trying to grow beyond. The second path is different. It's about responding from conscious choice. That means pausing in the middle of the chaos, noticing the trigger, and choosing to act from the values of the future you want to create, not the fears of the past you're leaving behind. That single shift in response is what pulls you into the new timeline. This is where the idea of parallel realities comes in. In spiritual teachings and even some interpretations of quantum theory, every choice creates a branching path. One version of you keeps repeating the old cycle. Another version steps into a higher alignment. The trap is the moment that forces you to decide which one you'll become. Here's a simple way to picture it. Imagine you're at a locked door. You've been asking for what's on the other side: love, purpose, abundance, peace. The trap is like the final password check. You can't just barge in. You have to prove you remember who you are and what you've learned. If you type the wrong password, reacting from fear, the door stays closed. If you enter the right one, acting from alignment, the lock clicks open. When you understand this, the mechanics stop feeling like sabotage and start feeling like structure. You see the trap for what it really is: a carefully built gateway to your next reality. So how do you actually know when you're inside the invisible test? The truth is, most people only realize it in hindsight. But if you know what to look for, there are clear signs that your soul has placed you in one of these checkpoints. The first sign is sudden blockage in multiple areas of life. You might notice that things which usually flow, your work, your health, your relationships, seem to all stall at once. Emails go unanswered, opportunities slip away, even small daily tasks feel harder than usual. This clogging effect is the soul's way of slowing you down so you can't keep rushing forward without awareness. The second sign is amplified emotional triggers. A minor comment stings more than it should. A small setback feels like the end of the world. Ordinary stress feels unbearable. The intensity isn't random, it's life holding up a magnifying glass over the wounds or fears you still need to face. The third sign is opportunities that appear, but with impossible demands attached. Maybe you finally get a job offer, but it requires you to move across the world. Maybe someone new enters your life, but being with them forces you to confront old trust issues. These aren't punishments. They're soul-designed scenarios asking, are you ready to rise to this level, or will you shrink back into the old pattern? Another marker is repetition. If you notice the same type of challenge showing up again and again, only louder each time, it's not coincidence. It's escalation. The soul keeps turning up the volume until you can no longer ignore what needs to be healed. Here's the part most people miss. The intensity itself is the clue. When the test is active, life feels almost too sharp, too overwhelming, too heavy. But that's not a sign you're failing. It's evidence that you're close. The closer you are to a breakthrough, the stronger the resistance becomes. And this is where awareness becomes your greatest ally. If you can pause and recognize, this isn't random chaos, this is the test, then half the battle is already won. Because the test feeds on unconscious reaction. Awareness is what drains its power. So when you notice these signs, life stalling, emotions intensifying, impossible opportunities showing up. It's not the universe turning against you. It's your soul signaling that you're standing at the edge of a doorway. And once you can see the test for what it is, you're finally ready for the next step, learning how to pass it. The first key is awareness. This may sound simple, but it's powerful. When you name what's happening, when you say to yourself, "This is the test," you immediately step out of blind reaction. Instead of being swept away by fear, anger, or despair, you create a moment of space. That space is where choice lives, and choice is what the test is really measuring. The second key is shadow integration. Remember, the test is designed to surface the fears, beliefs, or wounds that would sabotage your next chapter. Passing doesn't mean ignoring them or pretending they're not there. It means acknowledging them without judgment. If abandonment is your wound, notice it. If scarcity is your fear, name it. The act of naming takes the shadow out of hiding and puts it into the light, where it can no longer control you in the same way. The third key is energetic alignment. This means responding to the challenge from the emotional frequency of the life you want, not the fear of the life you're leaving behind. If your new reality is about love, act in ways that reflect love, even under pressure. If your vision is abundance, choose decisions that reflect trust instead of panic. The test is less about the external outcome and more about whether you can hold the vibration of your desired reality while everything in the old one shakes. Here's one practical exercise that can help: the To-Self Journal prompt. Take a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle. On the left side, write Old Self. On the right side, write New Self. Under Old Self, describe how you would normally react to the challenge you're facing, maybe with anger, avoidance, or self-doubt. Under New Self, write how the version of you who has already passed this test would respond, calmly, confidently, or with trust. Now, here's the trick. Choose to act from the New Self column today, even if it feels uncomfortable, even if it feels forced at first. By doing this, you're literally training your nervous system and your energy to align with the future you're calling in. Passing the test is not about never feeling fear, sadness, or doubt. It's about not letting those emotions steer the wheel. It's about recognizing them, breathing through them, and then choosing your response consciously. And when you start to do that, even in small moments, you'll notice something incredible. The trap begins to lose its grip. Doors that felt locked begin to open. The heaviness lifts and synchronicities return. Because the moment you choose from the frequency of your future self, the test has already served its purpose. But the deeper shift isn't in the outside world. It's in you. The same triggers that used to send you spiraling don't land the same way anymore. What once felt like a devastating rejection now feels like redirection. What once seemed like chaos now feels like clarity. That is the sign you've truly integrated the lesson. The wound that kept looping no longer runs the show. And here's the paradox. The test was never about winning. It was never about proving yourself to the universe or earning a reward. It was about becoming the version of you who no longer needs the old reality at all. The very moment you stop clinging, the trap stops being a cage and reveals itself as a doorway. This is why many people describe an almost unshakable peace after passing through. Not because every problem disappears, but because you realize you're not the same person who entered the test. You have stepped into alignment with the reality you were asking for, and now you have the inner capacity to hold it. So if you are in the middle of your storm right now, remember, the intensity isn't a sign of failure, it's a sign you're close. Hold steady. Choose from the self you want to become, not the one you're leaving behind. Because in the end, the trap your soul set was never meant to break you. It was always meant to unlock you.